Covid-19. 3 test positive at Olympic Village, sparking fears of outbreak ahead of Games.
Here's a summary of the article.
2 athletes have tested positive for the coronavirus in the Tokyo Olympic Village after a team colleague was also infected, officials said on Sunday, raising fears of a cluster just days before the opening ceremony. The first cases involving athletes in the village come a day after a member of their entourage returned the first positive test in the complex, which will house thousands of athletes. The Olympic Village, a complex of apartments and dining areas in Tokyo, will house 6,700 athletes and officials at its peak when the delayed 2020 Games finally get underway. South Korean IOC member Ryu Sung-min tested positive on arrival in Japan and was placed in isolation, a spokesman for the Olympic body said. On Saturday, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach appealed for Japanese fans to show support, saying he was very well aware of the skepticism surrounding the Games. Australia has 194 athletes in the Olympic Village backed by support staff including psychologists to help them deal with the extra strain of the anti-COVID measures. On Saturday, Games chief Seiko Hashimoto admitted athletes are probably very worried about coming to Japan, pledging full transparency over COVID cases.
This post received a score of 25,000, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Greater than, we can ensure that transmission between the various groups is almost impossible. This will age well.
Almost impossible means possible.
The possibility of IOC killing itself in its confusion is low. But never zero.
Over the last hour of scrolling, the articles have gone from 1 to 3. Feels almost like I'm watching this in real time.
What is the R0 of the Delta variant? 3.5 to 4? That sounds like it will be a shit show.
Some are saying the R0 for the Delta variant is 5 to 8. Shit show, indeed.
And to compare COVID against other diseases. So yeah, a nation would need 80% vaccination to reach a manageable herd immunity for COVID with the variants.
Holy fucks, measles is completely insane. Thank you science for vaccines.
Oh yeah, it is ridiculously infectious. Can also permanently scar, blind or deafen you. But anti-vaxxers love to say, oh it's just measles, like it's the common cold or something.
I've heard reports that the Japanese are really trying to keep groups isolated, but coordination with outside services like food and support are causing people to mix and mingle, breaking the isolation protocols. So yeah, it's bound to happen. IMHO Japan should have taken a pass on hosting this year. This is going to turn into a PR nightmare.
The Olympics shouldn't have happened, but if the IOC cancelled them they would have to pay Japan a giant sum of money for cancelling them, and if Japan cancelled them they would have to pay a giant sum of money to the IOC for cancelling them. Thus, the Olympics have been turned into this insane game of chicken to see who blinks first. In a sane world, both parties would have come together and agreed to cancel it for everyone's sake with no penalty to either side. But we don't live in such a place.
The IOC is out of control.
So IOC is OOC? Yeah, you know me.
Who's down with OOC? Every last homie.
Damn it, the show must go on. Won't anyone think of the sponsors?
Sponsors' products matter.
There seems to be a received wisdom on Reddit that there's nothing that can be done. Japan's hands are tied by its contract with the IOC. This isn't true, and worse, it plays into the hands of the worst elements of the IOC and the Japanese government. Firstly, the contract is between the municipality of Tokyo and the IOC. The federal government could absolutely impose restrictions to an extent that would effectively cancel the Olympics. This would likely put Japan in breach of covenants, guarantees, but any contractual cancellation payments to the IOC would likely be off the table, since, well, there's no contract. It's just a convenient cover story for those people to push the narrative that there's nothing that can be done. It's absolutely possible for the games to be cancelled by Japan in a way that would likely not result in them having to pay up for breach of contract.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.